Kathy Clement with Kathy by Design. Welcome to my studio. I'm inviting you in again today to share a little organizational and storage tips for our embellishments. So many of you have contacted me and told me that you really struggle in this area. So I thought I'd share with you how I share my embellishments. This is what works for me. It may not be what works for you. A lot of it depends on how much space you have, the style of crafter you are, all of those things. But the main thing, my number one tip, is figure out what is bugging you the most about your embellishments. Is it that you can't find them? This is a big problem. Is it that you don't like the way they're organized? Is it that you don't have room for them? Figure out what it is that's bugging you about your embellishments, and then think about how you craft and what sort of projects you make. Examine, do I really need to keep all of these? Sometimes the best tip is to clear some stuff out that's just taking up space and not being used, and then figure out what sort of organizer you are. Some people just like all their stuff out everywhere, and that's how they work, and that's okay. For me, I like to have things kind of organized, and I think in themes. So like, beach stuff, birthday stuff, animal stuff, and that's kind of how I put my embellishments together. Now, when I'm talking about embellishments, I'm going to cover the areas of buttons, brads, charms, chipboard, frames, and that's like, and jewelry comes in there too, because I like to buy vintage jewelry and use it on my projects. So we've already covered ribbon, we've covered dies, we've covered paper. Today we're going to talk about embellishments. So let me take the camera down, turn things around, and we'll start talking about how I store my stuff in my small studio space. Don't go away, we'll be right back. Okay, so right now we're looking at the wall that's directly behind my workspace. And this is where I store a lot of my embellishments. I also have this high tower that I use. Here's my workspace. So you can see it's very handy to where I stand. I have a ton of buttons. I love buttons. I love vintage buttons. I love novelty buttons. And the best thing I found, the best way I found, and sequins, the best way I have found to store these is in a CD rack. So I use a lot of little jars that I upcycle and wash out, and they fit nicely into my shelf area. And you can see I've broken up my buttons by color family. That's just the way my brain works. So if I know I'm working on a card where I want, say, yellow buttons or pink buttons or red buttons, I know where to find them. It's very quick and easy. I wish I was that organized with my sequins, but mostly what I had to do was fit them into the space. So I haven't been able to organize those quite as perfectly, but still I know where everything is. And this is how I store all my sequins and buttons. And then of course I have the odd mason jars and old vintage jars full of buttons because I have a lot of buttons. So that is that. Directly below the buttons, I have this bin storage system. And this is where I keep all my flowers. They're all in there. And I will show you, I've organized them by color. For the same reason that I did my buttons by color. It's just the way my brain works. So in here are all my Prima, and they're like, I keep the collections together. So these are all like Fruit Paradise. But then when I get over here, I was on the Little Birdie design team, and I ended up with a lot of gorgeous flowers. So I have them broken up by color families. So there's all the aquas. There's the whites, okay? And then I also was on the Petaloo design team, and I have a few of those left, so those are in this bin. And then I'm also on the Really Reasonable ribbon design team, so I have my Really Reasonable ribbon flowers in here. That's a lot of flowers, folks, but it's what works for me, and that's how I store them. The rest of these bins hold things like crochet thread, embroidery floss, and then I do have one container. This is all wire and wood. So I know if I'm looking for a wire or a wood something, it's in there. And that's kind of how I do these sorts of embellishments. You'll notice on the handles of these bins, I've used Graphic 45 tag album O-rings to do keys. And they dangle there and they look really cute. And I've sorted them out according to types of keys. And that way I can find my keys very quickly. O-rings are great. Rather than putting them in a tin where they kind of get all like tangled up together, they hang there on those handles of the bins, and that's real handy for me. So coming up, there's my buttons again and my sequins. And then right behind me is this little piece that my daughter made me. I think she might still have been in high school, but not far out of high school. And this is where I keep a lot of my embellishments. So let me pull this down and we'll take a closer look. So this is a paper mache jewelry box from, you know, like a big box craft store. And my daughter knew that I loved Mary Engelbreit, so she put this sweet little collaged cover on it. But I love this guy and I still use it a lot. Here's the thing I love. Little tiny compartments. And you can see I've sorted my stuff, like those are all sunflowers, those are all little wee flowers, those are all crosses, dragonflies, butterflies. So everything is kind of sorted out by what it is. Then in this drawer, some of the things are bigger. So I have bigger novelty buttons in here, some beads, some canvas pieces left over, these really cool clocks that my buddy Brenda sent me. Thank you, Brenda. These are Graphic 45 old staples, which I still love and sometimes use. Different colored brads. I don't use a ton of brads anymore, but I still have a few. More little novelty buttons, more chipboard buttons, little, you know, like seasonal stuff in this drawer. And then this is like small chipboard. Then there's a third drawer in this, and I have my googly eyes, these cute canvas banners also that Brenda sent me. Thank you again. This is all playing cards. This stuff comes in really handy. Actually, you can use these on Alice projects or mail projects, some wedding stuff. You can see I kind of have things themed, like this is all wedding. And then these are different little, see, wedding, little kids stuff. This is hairstylist stuff. Because, you know, you got to make something for your hairstylist at Christmas. Then these are older brads, really pretty, little tiny dragonfly brads and leaf brads. So those live in there, all right? That's a great thing. And if I've seen people who use like fishing tackle boxes. I've seen people use, you know, like the fold out jewelry boxes. These are affordable. You can customize them to fit your space. And you could actually, like if I had more of these, I could stack them on top of each other. And you could get a lot of embellishments and not a lot of space. I also like to use iris bins for my seasonal embellishments. So in this stack of things, I have like Christmas flowers, Christmas chipboard from Renee Bouquet, Christmas charms, and things, you know, fall charms, things like that, in these iris boxes. And inside the boxes, I'll show you how I do that. So this is my autumn embellishment box, and this is where all my autumn embellishments are. I have my chipboard in here. I have epoxy tags. I have, let me move all of this stuff out of the way. So these are all like autumn chipboards, mostly from Renee Bouquets because I love her so much. All right, so then I have bags. These are like leftover die cut leaves from projects, and I'll put these in a little cello bag and throw them in here so that the next time I go to make a fall project, I've got some leaves already started. I have washi tape. I have these little stick pins, but I use little containers to organize things. Like these are all enamel woodland creatures. I have a few little autumn woodblock stamps left. Here's some owl chipboard, rusty metal leaves, a bag of fake acorns, and then I like these little guys. You can get these really cheap. Like even look at the Dollar Tree. See, these are all leaf brads in here. And buttons, like little leaf novelty buttons. So that's the theme. So I theme things within the theme because it just saves me time. See, fall brads. These also I got at Dollar Tree, and I got like 10 of them for $1. It was so cheap. And this is where I have all my acorn charms. These are old, I used to do Stampin' Up. These are old Stampin' Up embellishment containers. And you can see I put some fall leaves and gems and charms in there. So that's kind of how I do it. I break it down within the category. These are all larger leaves, right? And it just helps me find what I'm looking for more quickly. See? So that's how I use these iris bins. Don't just throw everything in there. It'll be a mess. But invest in a few little containers and you'll be amazed. I mean, you might even have tiny jars from your kitchen, like sample jelly jars and things like that. Wash them out and use them and then organize your stuff. For me, being organized is the key because I hate wasting time searching for stuff. So that's how I use my iris bins. Okay, so now we're on the opposite side of the room, and there's my sewing table, which we've talked about before. And I have these little sewing drawers. Some of these are vintage that I picked up. Some of these are ones that my son made me. In here I have vintage buttons on cards. So I like to keep them on the cards when they come on the cards because some of the cards are really cool. And then I also have more jars of buttons broken down by color. So that's there. And then below there, I have another iris cart. The bottom is full of all my Cartabella and Echo Park papers. But the top of iris carts have these little tray areas, and you can use those. They are awesome. So I'm just going to show you. This is actually a makeup tray organizer that you can get in the bath department at your favorite big box store. And it's broken down into all these nifty little categories that you can use to store larger embellishments. And again, I've kind of done these by theme. This box has all my Renee Bouquet trinkets in it. This tray, well, it slides. So it's actually 2 layers. So I've got quite a bit of good big stuff in there. And then there's another layer under that tray because I've got all this space between my iris cart and my sewing table. And in here I have put these small organizer bins. This one is all kitchen and tea. So they're all broken down in there. And these are just those little, you know, Sterlite boxes with the organizer sides. So underneath that, see how much room there is? There's the actual tray. This little one has all sewing themed stuff. But then I'm actually able to fit underneath that a lot of my resins. And you can see it goes back. I know that's not a great picture, but it's hard to show. And then I actually have another bin. This is all just junk jewelry. And I use these when I do junk jewelry stuff, you know, like embellishments and things. And you can pick these up if you look at yard sales, you can almost always find these little containers for like $1. And even the bathroom organizer was a yard sale find. So, you know, expand your search area. But you can see that's a lot of storage space. And I try to make use of all my space. That's, you know, that's a real key for me, using my space well. Friends, here we are. This is the back door of my small closet. This is behind my die cutting station, excuse my lamp. And then see, there's the other side of my small room. So we'll just pan across here. And I love to use back of the door storage because this is space you wouldn't normally use, but it's got great potential, especially if you employ these clear plastic shoe organizers. So what I have on this door, and I'll just come in closer so you can see, these are all my Renee Bouquet's goodies. Beautiful board, butterflies, dragonflies, her beautiful vintage people, floral images, fruit images, frames, doilies, all the wonderful stuff that I love to use from her and alter. And I have these divided into categories. Again, this is the way my brain works. It's just how I like to be so that I can lay my hands on things very, very quickly. Then inside the closet, which is where I mostly store paper, I do have this one little Sterlite bin over in the corner that has O-rings and floral wire and grommets, stuff I don't use as often, which is why I've tucked it in the corner. And then below that, I have another shelf of bins. Most of those are ephemera and tags. This one bin in the corner is where I keep all my Tim Holtz ideology stuff that's still in the packaging. But mostly, I don't keep stuff in packaging because I find it takes up too much space. So a lot of these are duplicates that I picked up on clearance that I have in here until I use up what I have in my other storage. And then below this is my, I have an Etsy shop. So this is where I keep my shipping supplies and labels and, business stuff, my scale. And then in the bin on the left is where I keep all my frames. And I have a lot of them because the way I operate is when I find something on sale, even if I don't need it, I grab it. So I have these divided up, and I'll just try to show you. It's a little crowded in here. Melissa Francis did a tremendous clearance on all of her resin pieces a while back. And I mean, practically giving them away. So I stocked up. And these are in here, along with some gems and brads, tassels. I've got like specialty papers in here that I don't use very often, small things. And then below it, I have frames. So I have my resin frames, wood frames. These are for altering. And I have 2 drawers of those. And I know this looks like a lot of stuff, but these are all shutters and chipboard frames and the few remaining punches that I have in my stash. But this is my full-time job. So, and I've been doing this a long time, so I have a lot of stuff. But don't forget to use, unused space. Look how much stuff I got stored in this over-the-door pocket. It's one of my favorite things. I know it's not fancy or beautiful, but it sure is functional, and it gives me a great way to keep my beautiful board in beautiful condition. So I have one more area I want to show you. This is my favorite, so I've saved the best for last. Get ready for the motherlode. All right, on the wall opposite of the closet where we just were, there's my computer desk. You can see I'm editing a video. Always working, always working. I don't really do anything except edit videos, do correspondence, planning, that sort of thing. I'll often clear the desktop off and lay out my patterned papers there if I'm working on a big project. But this guy right here, that is where the motherlode is. So I'll just come in close. On the top, I have this cute little bin that has all my doilies, really cool stickers, stuff like that. This is ephemera, so we'll talk about that another time. But then this cart, which I got at Michael's on super clearance, this is where everything, most everything lives. And in this top drawer, I have things for altered art: box feet, knobs, handles, glass bottles. Then the next drawer down is where we start getting into all the charms. And yeah, I have a thing for charms, y'all. But that's what you like about my work. So there, and again, I kind of have these organized by themes. Like this one has all bees and word tokens. I've got some various things in there like travel, stuff like that. So that's that drawer. This drawer is a mix. I save a lot of these Kaiser Craft, and there are other companies that do this, these cute little embellishment boxes, because look how great they are for sectioning things off. And then these little guys I got at the Dollar Tree. There were 10 of them for $1. They have lids. I don't keep the lids on them because then I can't see what's in there. But again, these are all various charms sorted out. There's some novelty buttons and things in there too, but mostly all charms and brads and things like that, all sorted. So if you get down into here, this is another case that I picked up at a yard sale, but great storage for these beads and buttons and, you know, like lobster clasps, things like that. All my clocks are in here. So anytime I want a clock, I know I need to look in this drawer. Down here, here's a bunch more, but see, I also use little jars from my kitchen. This is what pimentos come in, and it's a great way to store various things. So think outside the box. Not everything, well, okay, it depends on who you are. If everything has to match, then you have to be a little more particular. But if you're like me and you're more concerned about function than feng shui, you can mix and match and end up with great storage solutions. See, here's a whole drawer full of those little wooden guys. All right, and then the bottom drawer. This drawer has like bottle caps. All my beach stuff is in this drawer. And the bottom drawer, I kind of layered it up. I have smaller Sterlite containers that have all dragonflies, all butterflies, all dog, all cat, that sort of thing. So that's that. This is on my actual work desk. And these little drawers, when I was on the Canvas Core team, I used my team credits to buy these little drawers, these little partition drawers. And this is where I keep all my buttons galore and more, little doodads, sprinklets, and I have them organized by categories. And I'll change them out. Like right now I'm moving into Christmas, so I've put all my Christmas stuff at the front so it's easy to find. And then at the back, I do have some ephemera in there, but we'll talk, that's for another one. Ephemera's for another little tour. But I like this system because I can just flip through it and find what I need very quickly. And then I have special vintage buttons over here in apothecary jars. And this old cookie jar that was, I think, my great-grandmother's has loose flowers in it that are left over from a project. And I just put them in there because they didn't really fit in any of the bins. They were just like one flower. So I grouped them all together in little Ziploc bags. So all the reds are in a bag, all the whites are in a bag. And when I'm looking for non-matching flowers, that is what I go to. So there you have it, my friends. That is how I store my embellishments. And I'm sure some of you have, you know, good tips as well. Please share them in the comments. People love to hear storage solutions and storage ideas. I'm not saying this is the be-all, end-all. It's just what works for me in my small space and my crafting style. So thank you for joining me in my studio today. I hope you enjoyed. I look forward to hearing from you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would love to have you join us. We have a lot of fun here. So that's it for me, Kathy Clement, Kathy by Design. Go get your craft on. Bye.